How's everyone? The banana monkey is here. The banana monkey. And Barb is here. Barb, how are you? How is everyone this evening? It is 5:10 here for me. I'm going to bring up my desktop. Joe Delaney is here. Hello, Yogi. Hello, Joe. How are you? It's 4:10 for Barb. She is in the what's the middle time zone. So we got an hour's difference. There we go. I'm all set. So I had fun talking breath work. Earlier today in the first live stream. It's been a bit of time since I've had a chance to focus so much on that aspect. And it is really my favorite aspect of yoga. Whenever I'm asked, and I've been asked several times, would I teach like an online yoga class? And they mean yoga asana, the postures. And I always stress that although I have a 200 hour certification yoga asana teaching certificate, I'm not that type of yogi, although I practice my asanas religiously. Joe Delaney is in Texas. Central time zone, that's what I was looking for. She's in Lake Charles. That, you know, I've mentioned quite a few times that yoga, there's various forms of yoga. The Bhagavad Gita points out 4 different ways of practicing yoga. And of course, there's infinitely many more. These are the main ones. There is karma yoga. Karma yoga, most people think of karma as retribution, payback, revenge, justice. You did this to me, so you will get yours in return. But that's not really karma. Karma means that we live in a participatory universe, that nothing is separate from anything else. Everything's in motion. So this is why, like the Buddha said, you are not punished for your anger. You are punished by your anger. That's the result. And karma is simply the result. It's simply action upon action upon action. Really, we could say that it's, instead of being cause and effect, it's simply effect and effect and effect, because every cause is backed up by an infinite amount of effect. And on it goes. So, if you are participating in thoughts or activities that don't serve you, then you live a life, you end up living a life that doesn't serve you as well. It might seem so on the surface, but on the inside, we're sort of left without that true sense of meaning and purpose. We kid ourselves. So anyway, karma yoga actually is a way of being of service for the world, being in service for others, without suffering the effects of karma, because we're surrendering all of the results to God. All of them. The God of whatever your belief system is. Or you don't even need a belief system if it works that way for you. So that's karma yoga. And then we have bhakti yoga. Bhakti means devotion. And it's the yoga of devotion, where you're literally devoting your life to life. You're devoting your life of service. You're devoting your life to God. You're literally using serving other people as worship to God. It's a beautiful way of going through life. I consider myself slightly, maybe more than slightly, a bhakti yoga, a bhakti yogi. And then you have jnana yoga. Jnana means wisdom. And this is the yoga of self-inquiry, of asking ourselves, who am I? And never settling on an answer. Because once you think you have an answer of who I am, who you are, You've just given yourself a label, and we're not labels. It's why the Tao Te Ching begins with the Tao that can be told is not the true Tao. Replace Tao with you. The you that can be described is not the true you. You are deeper and deeper and deeper, infinitely deeper than what could ever be told or ever described. And what a beautiful thing that is. That means no one could ever put a label on you. You can never put a label on you. I've really tried at my best to get our young friend, Night Watcher, who I believe is here, to get that realization, because sometimes he gets caught up in that self-doubt and self-criticism. He's not any of those things that anyone is telling him that he is, including himself. He is a free, infinite spiritual being that is untouched by those comments. And if you can realize that, you get that freedom that allows you to navigate the world in a very meaningful and beautiful way. So Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of knowing who we truly are, which is a mystery. So we never truly know, but we get to live in that mystery. And then we have Raja Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga or Ashtanga means 8. And it's the Eightfold Path of Yoga. And that's pretty much, although I think we could say we practice all of them, that's pretty much my practice. And then I'll describe the Eightfold Path. Jacob says, hey again, brother. Jacob, how are you? Just want to drop by and say hey to everyone. I appreciate that. And yes, thumbs up, everyone. I appreciate that too. And we get some highs shared. So, Ashtanga or Ashtanga, there's a style of yoga called Ashtanga Yoga, but that's a style. It's a Hatha Yoga, physical yoga, means of practice. The Ashtanga Yoga we're talking about here is from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and it's 8 branches of yoga. And you have the yamas, which are personal restraints, ethical restraints, and how we live the world. Non-harming, non-lying, non-hoarding, sexual restraint, energy restraint, we should say. And surrender. And then we have the 5 yamas, which are personal observances like cleanliness, self-study. And then we have the asanas, which is a practice of the physical that most people associate yoga with. And then we have pranayama, which is what I talked about before, which is what I also teach. And then we have pratyahara, which means withdrawal of the senses. That's like Yoga Nidra, which our friend Bumblebee practices. And then we have concentration, meditation, concentration, and then meditation. Those are the 8 limbs of yoga. And I teach meditation and I teach breath work, as well as the ethical stuff. So that's why when people say, would you teach the postures? I generally say no, because it's just not my specialty. I practice it, and I'm certified to teach, but it's not my specialty. A long-winded explanation. Let's see. So, you know what? I always love thinking about my friends here on YouTube and the type of yogi that they seem to be. I talked about our friend Destiny Forever Walks PhD, really seems to be a karma yogi, because she serves so selflessly others all across YouTube. The Banana Monkey says, Joe and Barb made 12 messages in the first minute. I use artificial intelligence to do the math, so each message is 20%, and only be about 6.5 messages each, 30 seconds. Interesting. Barb says you're doubling messages again. Goldie's here. Goldie says, hi there, lovely people. Goldie is another person who um, YouTube at its best is, in my opinion, is about being of selfless service. And I see Goldie everywhere, all across the spectrum of places that all of us visit from time to time. And she is always just this quiet presence, helping people, never ever, making any overt show over anything, just quietly being there supporting. And then I think of our friend Joe Delaney and what she went through. And it would be so easy for her to go in the opposite direction and simply, hey, celebrate the wonders of me. Look what I've done. Instead, she turns it around and uses it to, now I can help you. Now I am there for you. I didn't come through this on my own. I came through this to heal and to let you know that you can heal as well. So again, I'm going to go back to our friend Nightwatcher, and I hope he's listening. Please visit Joe Delaney's channel, and you see an amazing transformation. But what you don't see is the internal transformation that had to take place in order for her to make this huge accomplishment in her life. That's the real battle. That's the real thing. And we're all facing our own demons. And my young friend, I know you are as well. But if Joe can do it, working hard, you can do it. And you have an amazing talent for art that you can use to get you there. And you're a bright young man. Barb says, so many good people here. It feels like home. Thank you for that, Barb. And that's really what I'm striving for. The people to feel comfortable. Sometimes it's difficult because you strive to make some people feel comfortable and you might go overboard, and then you go back in that direction and you might go overboard. That's why I always talk about balancing. Life is never balanced. Anyone who says that they're looking for a balanced life isn't looking for life, because life is always in flux. It moves this way, it moves that way. What's the saying about meditation? That meditation's like surfing. The wave always goes up and it goes down. We don't get to choose the waves, but we can learn how to surf. We can learn how to ride out the downs and ride up with the ups, and keep ourselves relatively centered. That's the art of prayer. That's the art of meditation. Prayer keeps us centered. Prayer at its best keeps us centered in the heart and the mind of God. Keeps our own mind as well centered in the heart of God. When you get down to that surface of deep prayer, it's the same as deep meditation. It's silence. You're hearing what Herman Melville said, silence being the only voice of God. So, all right, I don't want to fall behind at the beginning, guys. Goldie says, thank you for that sweet of you to say. I like letting people know that they're appreciated, and that especially the people who do those small, quiet acts of kindness that can largely go unnoticed. And a lot of times they want it that way. I know for a fact that Goldie would never shout praise upon herself, but that doesn't mean she doesn't deserve it. Just as I agree, Barb, it's just peaceful, and I'm doing my best to make sure we can stay that way, at least the vast majority of time. But as I mentioned yesterday in the giving up conversation, that I'm giving up worrying about how it's going to be. Is it going to be a peaceful live stream, or is it going to be chaotic? Is someone going to be upset? Because I can't control that even a little bit. Even when it's happening, I I can time people out. I could block people, but new people come up. New people always come, or it's someone, the same person will find another way of coming in. So what I can do is encourage everyone to find. I'm going to quote Herman Melville in Moby Dick. Their insular Tahiti, where he says that so too in the heart of man there lies an insular Tahiti, a peaceful isle, safe from the. I need to look up the whole quote. I don't remember the whole quote, but it's safe from the destruction of the sea. It's safe from the chaos of the sea. Our own insular Tahiti, which is such a beautiful quote, knowing that we all have that peaceful isle, whatever you want to call it. The Banana Monkey says, the 5 is for me typing before the stream started. Goldie that says, let's see if T comes in. Yeah, that would be nice. Our friend Wolf is here. I made it. Hi, as everyone. Hi, as Wolf Moon Wolf, I'm sorry. Appreciate seeing you. Wolf says, hope everyone is having a better day. I'm having a pretty good day. Goldie says, okay, I was trying my hardest not to mess up your idiom, Wolf. Joe says, that's perfectly stated. Riding the waves. It's always ups and downs. Yeah, too often we look for peace in life, and you're not going to find it in life. But if we turn within and find peace, and we can, because peace is within all of us, then we begin to create a world of peace, one person at a time. Using another favorite quote from Buckminster Fuller, the architect, who said that we need to dare to be naive, that no reality was created by an existing reality. We had to break this reality to a whole new paradigm. We had to break this paradigm to enter an entirely new reality. So people say we can never have a peaceful world. Of course not, because we keep thinking we can never have a peaceful world. But if we break that paradigm, if we have a new paradigm, Isham, am I saying that right? Isham? Name a car for edit. I don't know what you mean by edit, but I'll say Subaru Outback, because I like Subaru Outbacks. It was my favorite car that I had for a long time. Goldie said, hi Wolf, I had a beautiful rainy day. And she shared it with us. Or she shared the morning with us. Barb says, I try so hard to show those in pain. I can still do things. I feel like I'm failing at it. You're not failing at all, my friend. Not at all. Man, your channel is so welcoming. I mention that all the time. It's like being invited in someone's home to sit and share a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and talk and do crafts. And you're showing that. You're showing that the things that you love to do, the pain isn't keeping you from doing it at all. Our friend Destiny is here. I was talking about Destiny, my favorite Karma Yogi. Destiny asks how I am. I'm doing well. I hope you are as well. Goldie says, Barb, you just do yourself and trust God for the outcome. Perfectly said. If someone needs to hear it, God will make sure that he will bring it down he will bring that person in the area where she can hear it. Yeah, that was Goldie nailed it. I mentioned before in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that you are entitled to your actions and not the fruit of your actions. The fruit of your actions belong to God. You are entitled to the actions alone. So every action that you do, you simply surrender it to God, knowing that all the details will be taken care of. The more we can do that, the more that we can trust, the better the results are. To me, that's why inspiration is always better than manifestation. People like to talk about manifesting their hopes, manifesting their dreams, and I think you can certainly do that, but I don't think you can dream big enough than what the universe or God has in store for you. And that's inspiration. So it's better to let inspiration guide your life. Which is why, like in Hawaiian shamanism, they say, why wish for something small? Why wish to live to be 100 years? Because there's a dark side. Maybe you do, and the last 30 years of your life are in pain. I mean, you can't move. Wish to have a long, healthy life, or wish just to have health, or wish to help others have health. Destiny says, blessings to you, Goldie. Good to see you again. Yikes. I'm far behind. Goldie says it was her afternoon. Milka McCarty is here. Hi, Milka. Well, I was happy to share your afternoon with you for a little bit. Joe says the great thing about waves is that they are always different and you never get the same wave twice. As one comes in and out, it will always change. This is true. And the even more amazing thing, it always stays the ocean. No wave is ever separate from the ocean. And that's the perfect metaphor for consciousness. That each of us are a wave and expression of consciousness itself, but we're never removed from that singular consciousness of all of existence, that everything comes from that and everything returns to that, which is a wonderful feeling of, as Barb said, of being home. If you know your true place within the universe is the universe itself, where can you ever go? And how can things ever go wrong? Goldie says, hi there, lovely Milka. All right, and I'm caught up again. Destiny says, doing fantastic, Eric. My favorite fellowship of beingness. And mine too. I feel like we're returning back to our roots, where we came from, where we started from. Milka says hello to everyone. So, yeah, back to the YouTube analogy. Everyone has that opportunity just to present something uniquely them on their YouTube channel. That's why, man, the joy of Goldie walking in the rain, laughing, completely soaked, getting smashed by cars, never getting upset with a single car. What a joyful moment, and what a great opportunity to share in someone's joy. And you can never share in someone's joy without walking away feeling joyful yourself. Eric Lapointe says, every drop of water is the ocean, and the ocean is made of drops of water, a pattern that never stops. One might say, dare I say, fractals? Fractal patterns of existence demonstrated by the ocean? Jared Delaney says, so very true, and that's beautiful, Yogi. Eric LaPointe says, hello, everyone. Eric, how are you? Destiny says, blessings and much love. Blessings and love, Mocha. Happy Friday and enjoy your weekend. Eric LaPointe says, say it, and nailed it. Fractal patterns of existence. An infinite reflection of each other. In yoga, they would call that Indra's net. Indra being one of the deities, and has a jewel, the infinite self-reflecting jewel, which is just a metaphor for consciousness. And that one jewel in the net reflects itself in every pattern of the net, like a spider's web. And that creates the universe. But it's only one thing. Everything else is just a reflection of that one reality. The Godzilla is here. Godzilla, how are you? Eric LaPointe says, I miss Goldie's live, and he even put notifications on. I wasn't able to stay for the whole live, but I'm glad I made what I did, because again, it was really joyful. The good thing is that we can revisit it. It is up on Goldie's live. And we're going to try something here. I don't know if this is going to work. I tried it earlier. I think it might only work on desktops, as has been pointed out to me. The Godzilla says, I'm good, but it's late for me, and I have to go. Hey, Godzilla, I appreciate you stopping in. Goldie says, it's there, Eric LaPointe. And to be totally honest, Eric McCarty, I was kind of surprised by the first car giving me an extra shower. But the second one, I was a little bit annoyed. Once you're wet though. You can't get any wetter. Goldie says, hi there, Godzilla. Sleep tight. I hope our young friend Flower is asleep. Eric LaPointe says he will check it out. Yep, I have it on my list to finish watching all the way through. So as I mentioned at the start, it was just a whole lot of fun to talk to Bumblebee about breath work. Goldie says, and I was already soaked from my waist down. I ran my first and second 100-mile race in the rain. Actually, the first year it was rain and snow, and freezing rain. And the second year it was just torrential rain all the way through. I don't know if Mocha McCarty is still here. I don't know if I ever mentioned that to her before, that my first 200-mile races were in the rain. That is actually a joke, because every time it rains, I mention to Mocha McCarty, did you know that I ran my first 200-mile races in the rain? Goldie says, did you see the trees there, McCarty? Not yet. But as I said, I have it up, and I'm going to finish watching the whole thing. maybe a little bit after the live session, and the rest definitely tomorrow morning. Eric Point says, I was just in your channel, Destiny. She, Destiny is putting out some very valuable information. And she always presents it so in depth, so deeply. Bumblebee is here. We were talking about you earlier, Bumblebee. Bumblebee says, hi everyone, just listening in. Be in room properly in 10 minutes doing a chore. So I don't know who might have been here yesterday when we were talking with Bumblebee. But you might have missed the amazing rendition of Amazing Grace. She played on her drums. And she did it as a birthday present for our friend Goldie, which makes it all the more special. If you guys get the opportunity to visit Bumblebee T, and have a listen. Goldie says hi there, T. I was wondering if you would drop in. Amazing thing making new friends like Bumblebee. That I met her yesterday thanks to our friend Goldie. And yet she feels like someone that I've known for quite some time. Same with all of you, really. Like whenever I pop in to visit Barb, I always get to welcome Yogi, my spiritual brother, and it just feels so right that she's actually just gave this apt description. And I've long described our friend Destiny that way as well, spiritual family. As well as Mocha. I've had quite a few people ask our relationship. It's always funny when I remember when Noble said, hey, I just noticed you and Mocha have the same last name. And I think it might have been Flower who thought that we were could have been brothers and sisters until they obviously saw us side by side. And then, we've described our relationship that technically Mocha's my ex-wife, but non-technically, actuality-wise, that Mocha could never be an ex anything in my life. She is the present person, for whatever that means. I was talking about how the Tao Te Ching says the Tao that can be told is not the true Tao, and it's the same in that type of relationship. That a soul relationship can be described is not really a soul relationship. The ex-wife that can be described is not the true ex-wife. Goldie says, I'm playing on 2 devices again. Typing on this one. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Destiny says, all our souls are connected. That's why we feel that oneness, as we have met each other somewhere before. And we have in some other time, place, or planet. Beautifully said, Destiny. So when Bumblebee comes back in, I don't want to play it without her permission. I will ask if we could hear, I have it up, her channel up right now, if we could hear her beautiful rendition of Amazing Grace. Once more. For one thing, it's such a beautiful song. with a powerful message and a great, great backstory to it. Um, and it really keeps keeps that sense of peace in any uh, live stream, as do our thoughts and the conversations that we have. One of the things I'm also thinking of in live streams is those little moments of silence that we get to share in. That not just because it's a live stream doesn't mean that it needs to be filled up with me talking all the time. We can all just sit there just for a moment. Bumblebee says, feel free to play or share. So, I don't remember if when I shared it yesterday, if it was able to be opened by other people or not. As I think some links that you drop from a desktop can, but I think if you're sharing channels, it can't. I think. I could be wrong. So I'm going to play it here real quick. This is the tongue drum, and this is played by our friend Bumblebee T on her channel, and it's available. You can watch it. And it was played for Goldie, as the song has a very deep meaning and message for her. Goldie says, thank you for sharing the backstory to the song. It makes me love the song even more. It's, yeah, I absolutely love it. And, you know, I heard it from Arlo Guthrie, if anyone is familiar with Arlo Guthrie. I saw him in concert, not really in concert, because he generally would play in county fairs or small venues. And I saw him a couple times at county fairs. I got to go up and talk with him. Really great guy. And I loved his father, Woody Guthrie. But he would perform an amazing rendition of Amazing Grace. And he would, during the song, he would talk. He would stop and explain the meaning, and then he'd start singing again. Probably several versions of him singing it on YouTube. He no longer performs. He has the same condition his father had, and I don't remember. It was a neuromuscular disorder where eventually Woody couldn't play his guitar any longer. So, this is from Bumblebee T for Goldie, and now all of you. Beautifully done. So the origins, if there's anyone here who didn't hear it yesterday, of the story of the song is, and I read his name yesterday because I brought it up as after I told the story, I brought it up to add the name. I don't remember his actual name. He was a minister. Did a lot of bad things. He may have become a minister afterwards, but he considered himself a man of God. And he did what men of God did back then. Some of them, not all of them, which is just to partake in the trade of making a profit. Unfortunately, his trade was slave trading. And he was bringing men, women, and children from the African home to be sold as slaves in the United States. And it might have been Britain that he was doing that. have to double check on the facts. On the voyage, what turned out to be his last voyage, he had an epiphany. He had a moment of grace. He had a moment of amazing grace. And he saw the evil act that he was participating in. Probably sensed it all along. Although epiphanies can happen out of the blue, sometimes they build up as well. We might not sense them coming, but we get this underlying disturbance in our life. And whatever the case was, he was struck by that epiphany, and he turned the slave ship around and let everyone go, and ended up becoming a minister as well as a abolitionist. And for me, that story and the song itself means that we can all have our own instant of amazing grace, that we can all have our own epiphany. I've talked about mine, how I just had a clear, in a drunken haze and in a bad position. I had the clear intuitive feeling that if I wanted to never ever have another drink again, I didn't have to, that I could be free. Not be an ex-alcoholic, not be an ex-anything, to simply be free, alcohol free. It would no longer have any part in my life whatsoever. All I had to do was say yes, which I did. And that moment was my last moment of drunkenness, my last moment of not sensing that I always had that place of peace that I could come to at any time. I'm not saying that I always resided there, that my life since then hasn't had its ups and downs, because it certainly has. But I always know that that grace exists, that I was given that glimpse, and I stepped into it, and it's always available. And the only thing that blocks it from being realized 100% of the time was my own thinking, that I think that I can't step in, that I think that I am separate from God, that I think that I'm separate from any aspect of the universe. My own sense of separation is the only thing that keeps me separate. Destiny says, amazing grace. Yes. When we get a hashtag, being free is an amazing grace. It certainly is. This is one of the things that I talked with our friend Night Watcher, as well as others who have come in and have been perhaps somewhat of a disrupting influence. No need to mention any names. We've had a few come in that I always hope that, if they hear that message that we can be free, that literally we are free, we just don't know it, everything would change in an instant. They'd have their own epiphany, because all of us can be a spark for that to happen. All of us can be a spark for God. I'm going to, I remembered early, I'm going to take my herbal supplement. We get a thumbs up from Eric LaPointe. So if anyone has their own moment of grace that they would like to share, I know Joe Delaney. Imagine losing 325 pounds, and imagine that moment of grace of deciding everything changes right now, beginning that journey. Bumblebee says, thank you, Eric. Thanks all. You're quite welcome, my friend, and thank you for playing that. And making it public again. It's been a long favorite hymn for me. Destiny says, freedom is an inside job that must start in the mind, believing that you're free of all attachments, etc. I agree. And that is the path of yoga. I've mentioned before. It's called the 5 cliches. The 5 mental blocks that keep us from realizing our freedom. And it's being attached to our attachments, averse to our aversions. Sounds funny saying that way. Our belief that we are our ego, that we're an ego-based personality, and that we are not, we can say it however way we like, that we are not sparks of consciousness, that we are not children of God, that we are not one being. Or one of my favorite expressions is that we are not human beings that have an occasional spiritual experience, that we are spiritual beings that are having a human experience. It's a beautiful way of reframing it. And the fact that we don't realize that is one of the 5 kleshas, which literally means block. It's a thing that blocks us, as well as our fear of death. That our fear of death keeps us from thinking about death. And it really doesn't matter what your whatever faith that you practice. If you are a Christian, at the moment of your death, you are greeted by Christ. You are welcomed back. You're welcome back home. If you believe in reincarnation, then you get another opportunity. So whatever it is, if you're an atheist, if you're a scientist, if you are someone who just deeply believes in quantum physics as the bedrock of reality, then every single particle that you are right now is going to be something else entirely. Once this body breaks down, you will be reborn. Different than reincarnation, it's rebirth. Which pleases me to no end, thinking that I can witness my father, who's now gone. I can witness him on anything I view in nature. The possibility is everywhere that he actually might be particles existing as the tip of a leaf on a spring leaf. Bumblebee says, you're welcome. Thank you too for taking interest. Always. Eric Lapointe says, yes. And Destiny says, Eric Lapointe, I always love your nature videos. Nature is my favorite habitat, and that is where I find me. Thank you for sharing Mother Gaia's beauty. I agree. Eric Lapointe posting videos is one of the best things to happen on YouTube since, I don't know, since like the original cat video that came out. Dwight Brown is here. Dwight, how are you? I've mentioned before, just a suggestion, but not even a suggestion, just sort of putting it out there, that if Eric Lapointe wanted to have an all cows video, an all cow channel, as I mentioned, it could be Eric Lapointe's Cow Palace, Eric Lapointe's cow hut, cow, 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 nothing but cows. I'd be fine with that. Absolutely fine. I'm not saying he should do that. I'm just saying if he, on a whim, decided, you know what, I'm going to specialize in cows, I'd be there to support him. Let's see. Dwight says, good, and I still love the book collection. Awesome. Thank you. It's been growing with a few new books, actually. Dwight says, I had to change my name from Chrissy to Dwight because it's my name. That makes sense. Eric Point says, I better get started. You're off to a good start. You got some amazing cow videos. I mentioned before, it was a photograph of a cow that turned me vegan. I had been leading up in that direction for a very long time, but as anyone who's ever tried to make any kind of dietary change knows, it's really hard to do, or it can be really hard to do. Once I did it, it was the easiest thing in the world. Convincing myself that I could do it is what was so difficult. And that shows you so much of what life is all about. The hardest thing of all is thinking how hard it's going to be. The actual doing is never quite as hard, or seldom quite as hard, or often not quite as hard. But there was a photograph of a farmer who kicked a fallen cow in the face. And the look from the cow wasn't one of hatred or even fright. It was more one of, how could you do that to me? And I still get emotional even thinking about that. And I looked at that cow's face, so forgiving and just full of like anything could change right now, that you could lift me up, that we could be friends, that I would forgive you instantly. That at that point, I was a vegan. Destiny says, Eric McCarty, that deer video you posted this morning, I believe, and the blue heron on the water, should go viral. Awesome job. Thank you. The deer video is mine. The as I mentioned to Eric Lapointe, or I left a comment on his comment, the blue heron, the green heron was mine as well. The blue heron was Mocha on her cell phone, an amazing video, as well as amazing patience to keep steady on that blue heron until it took off in the flight. I love the way they move, that slow motion in the water, and then that moment of liftoff. Eric Point says, so Yogi, I know you love pets. What if you had a cow that was a pet but gave milk? Does that count in the vegan world? I think it would depend on the vegan. The problem is that cows only give milk when they are calving, after they've had a calf. So in the agricultural industry, and that's the key word, it's an actual industry, that and animals are treated as a commodity, as a product, that they're kept in a state of perpetual, what's the word I'm looking for, where they're always ready to be milked. Always. Never a moment's rest. Until they're used up, and then they're destroyed. So if I was patient and I shared milk with a calf, So the only time I ever drank milk was from a cow that was producing milk to feed her offspring, and that I only drank what the calf wasn't drinking. You can make a case for that. But the key for me, and I think the key for most ethical vegans, is reducing suffering. So that was why I had to be. If I was to live my life as a yogi, which was my intent for 30 years, and I practice ahimsa, which is non-harm, then I couldn't be participating in something that was harming. And now they make really good milk from other sources. You know, you have almond milk. I don't drink any milk substitute, but you can. Soy milk. Destiny says Mocha did an awesome job capturing the blue heron. She did, and you know what? The I should have checked with her before I told people that it was hers. Mocha is a humble person, but it's done pretty well with views. I'm bringing it up right now. I think the last I checked, it's at 1.3K right now. I have quite a few more of the deer that I saw. There was 2 that I saw, as well as the sandpiper. And tomorrow I need to remember to post the hairy woodpecker that I saw. It's not a woodpecker that's hairy. It's actually called a hairy woodpecker. Eric Point says, I understand, just wondering. But you know what? I'm not against animal husbandry. Small farms that take care of the animals and the animals take care of them. Which is the way it used to be. When, you know, farmers literally cared for the animals because the animals were their livelihood. But it's not that way any longer. Goldie says, Eric Lapointe, how's the garden? The peppers and tomatoes. Peppers and tomatoes. Destiny says, I feel that every mother, whether human or animals, have their own milk for their own babies. Just my thoughts. And B. I agree with that. People often say, you know, man is the only creature, I don't know if this is actually true, that drinks milk from another species. Cow's milk is designed to bring a baby calf from its birth weight to, 400 pounds in as short amount of time as possible. Bumblebee says she's here, just eating. Eric says it's coming, Goldie. Ants. Ants in the garden? Oh, or ants drink the milk of other species. Interesting. Man and ants. I didn't know that, Eric. If I was a betting man, I would bet money that our friend Squirrel Sniper knows that as well. Just seems like a Squirrel Sniper fact that he would, you know, he'd be able to drop that in a conversation. And it also doesn't surprise me that Eric Lapointe knows that either. Bumblebee says, Goldie, it's not great food, but it's food, you know? And Goldie says she knows. I hope it's nourishing. you never know what video is going to take off. And if you begin to film with that in mind, then instead of what I've talked about, what Eric Lapointe and I've talked about, that unique opportunity to capture something that no one else in the entire universe can capture. Only you are witnessing that. Only you are there with the camera in your hand, participating, because I think filming and photography at its best is a quantum effect that the observed and the observer are one and the same thing, and you are literally filming your own reflection as whatever it is that's there, and that's the most meaningful video that you're going to put out, and it may only get a few views. This is what Goldie was saying earlier in the conversation about don't worry about the results. You surrender it all to God. You just do what you do and surrender it all to God. I try to take that quite literally when I'm filming something. I'm not filming it for views. Views are nice. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love them. But there's nothing like seeing that, whatever it is that you're filming, and just knowing that you're witness to a true miracle, that everything in the universe had to conspire in just the right way to bring that bird or that animal or that tree, whatever it is, everything had to conspire just right to get that there and you here at the right time with a camera in your hand. And it's never ever going to happen again. You might film another bird, you might film another animal, there might be something similar, but that is never going to happen again. The actuality of that event is a once upon, as every moment is. So you start to carry that feeling with you through everything. The conversation that I'm having here with some amazing people, the way it's happening now will never ever happen again. Not this way. Which makes this an amazing conversation, as all of them are. Eric Lapointe says, Aunt Ray's aphids. Goldie says, Eric Lapointe, aren't aphids destroying plants, eating them up? Bumblebee says, Eric, I couldn't believe there was a English red telephone box in Romania today. You learn something every day. They removed a lot of them years ago, only a small amount left in the UK. Yeah, it's always funny to see telephone booths here. Because we grew up with them. Every corner. You could always find one somewhere. Amazing how much has changed just in our lifetime. Goldie says, or that car that smashed my back. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. It had to be the right driver. Bumblebee says, I'm not sure if there's a red telephone box in this UK town, but I want to go look. Be fun to find. Cecily says, so right, Yogi, we never know which video that will hit big views. YouTube is in control of the domain. YouTube, again, changed things in their analytics today, and they keep making new changes daily. I wasn't aware that they had made some changes. I wonder, Destiny, I wonder if it's worth even keeping abreast of. Does it interfere with the work if you if I start thinking of all the everyday changes that YouTube makes instead of just keep doing what I do? For for my hopes, as I mentioned before, and I've had some great talks with Goldie about this, is I would love to, yeah, I want to get monetized. I'm getting closer and closer. Um, I'd like to think that I could do it in 3 weeks. And yes, I would love to be paid for putting out some beauty in the world from my perspective and having conversations. But I only need enough. And enough isn't a whole lot for my lifestyle. So sometimes I wonder, when YouTube makes these changes, are they making it to make things easier? Are they making it to make things harder? Or does it matter at all? Is it just change because people feel like they need to keep making changes? Eric Point says, yes, Goldie, the ants bring them to the best part of the plant to harvest the sweet poop that they release. Speaking of once upons, I could probably guarantee that I will never read the phrase harvest the sweet poop they release ever again. Although, I can't know that for certain, of course. Bumblebee says, what country are you in, Eric? Goldie says, right driver. And I was spoiled. Got two of them drivers. Eric Point says, they carry the breeders in their backs and workers in their mouth. They harvest as much as they can, just like us. This is true. You think the animal world is fascinating. When we start talking about insects, absolutely amazing what goes on. During the shutdown, when I was still trying to stay in shape for ultra running, but I didn't want to go too far away on the bike paths because I was concerned about my father, who had congestive heart failure, but it wasn't progressing that strongly at that time. I didn't know that it wasn't going to be that long afterwards that it would. But I still wanted to stay close to home, so I would do a lot of walking and some running around my just under half-mile little suburban block. And I was amazed at the wilderness that I found. Just looking down and seeing that incredible world going on just beneath my feet that I would often miss. Not when I was a kid. When we're kids, we're fascinated by that. But we grow up and we sort of forget about it. Eric says apids are cattle to ants. Interesting. Now you got me thinking that I need to do some reading on ants and apids. Bumblebee says, Goldie, I need to watch your live from start and see. Eric's point is from the U.S., Connecticut. Eric, have you ever been to Mystic Seaport? I was there when I was a kid. I think I mentioned I spent a week in New Haven. With it might have been a week. I was pretty young. It seemed like a week. Staying with an aunt. Goldie says, yes, Steve, you're going to laugh. We get some laughing over the sweet poop of their release. Desi says, it's new things that I have to learn and relearn to do properly the way they want it done, Eric. Changes can be good or bad, but the thing is learning how to adapt to the new ones. Maybe it's just my channel. Yeah, I agree about the changes. Some I adapt to quite readily, some I'm a little slow on the uptake. Let's see. I'm going to bring up my channel here for a second. I think I mentioned earlier let's see. I am at 3,341 watch hours, which puts me 659 away, inching closer. And that's updated as of May 26, 2024. So I got 5 days, uncounted. So I'm probably in the mid 500s or so. Goldie says, I'm usually stubborn when it comes to changes. I certainly am, as technically, as far as technology goes. Which is why I'm always reluctant to get new phones, even when my own phone might be falling apart. Even computers. I actually have a brand new desktop that I got 3 years ago that's still in the box because I will keep using this one, which was actually a present from Mocha like 15 years ago or thereabouts. As long as this one is serviceable, everything that I need. Eric LaPointe says Mystic is its own place, if that's what you're talking about. But yes, I love it there. Great food. Yeah, what I recall as a kid was it wasn't an amusement park, but it just seemed very. It was geared towards tourists, but not in a overt way. Not in a flashy way. Eric Point says, I try to stay out of the city, but Mystic is great. What's the biggest city that's near you? Are you from Connecticut originally? Destiny says, I'm not a computer geek, or am I techie, Eric? I am an old school and out of date. Maybe my YouTube apps need to be updated to YouTube. New guidelines, I just don't know, Eric. I just do my best to stay focused. You know what? For someone who isn't techie, though, you've mastered the art of putting out entertaining and informative and inspiring videos. You definitely turned it into an art form, and a beautiful one. Eric LaPointe says correct. Our friend William is here. William, how are you? Sorry I didn't make it into your live last night. I meant to, and then we ended up staying live right up until about 7. And at that point, 7's my actual bedtime. How'd the workout go? Bumblebee says, I'm currently staying in a tourist town, so they might have a red phone box. Awesome. If you see one, take a little video. Bumblebee says, I did find a gold post box, Royal Mail pillar box in Street. Those we don't have, or I don't recall. William says, doing good, just finished working. Do we have another workout coming up this evening, or is today a recovery day? Bumblebee says, yes, Yogi. Awesome. I look forward to seeing it if you post it. Eric says, yes, born and raised. I'm close to all the city's technology. New York, uh, Boston, Hartford, Providence, Rhode Island. Connecticut it's a beautiful state. You know, a lot of people think of it as a suburb to New York, which technically it is. But most people are, it's the same with New Jersey, which is another beautiful state. And people always make jokes of New Jersey, you know, so what off ramp do you live by or do you live off of? Um, and it's one of the most populated, if not the most populated state. But everyone is in specific areas. And the rest of the state is you have the Pine Barrens, which is a truly unique ecosystem. And you have the mountains in northeastern New Jersey, beautiful shoreline. Um, People have joked about because it's called the Garden State, but it really is the Garden State. And Connecticut is another one of those states. You have people in certain areas, but you have, hey, Connecticut has a moose population. William says, workout was only yesterday morning, hot in the garage yesterday afternoon. I bet so, in Phoenix, I'm sure. What's the temperature today in Phoenix, William? Gordy says, there's one in my city. It's in today's live stream. That's going to be something to look for. Can you spot the phone booth or the what was it, the gold post box? Bumblebee says, Yogi, what country are you in? I'm in the US as well. I'm in the state of Maryland, which is in the mid-Atlantic, and I'm right in the middle. I'm north of Washington, D.C. and south of Baltimore. What I love about it is, like Eric was saying, that base of technology. Of course, if I wanted to, I could visit. I could be in D.C. in half an hour. I could be in Baltimore in 15 minutes. Philadelphia in about an hour and a half. I could be in New York in 2 hours. But more importantly, that I could be on the Appalachian Trail in about 45 minutes. I could be in bear territory in about 45 minutes. I could be on the Chesapeake Bay in about 20 minutes. In the estuaries and the wetlands, the marshes. I could be at the ocean in about 2 hours. And not just, some of the major ocean resorts. I could be on Assateague Island or Chincoteague Island. I don't know if people of a certain age might remember the book Misty of Chincoteague, which was a book about the wild horses on Chincoteague and Assateague Island. I used to go there and camp out in my teenage years. Absolutely beautiful. So I love being in that center of centeredness. I can go in so many different directions. Yogi says that he may. Depends on temp. It's 106 now. Wow. Man, salute to you for putting in the work when it's that hot. Destiny says, thanks, Eric M. I'm not one that edit and one that does all the fancy creative work. I just do me and be true to what I know and believe. That's what shines through, Destiny. Your authenticity. It's the art of destiny. Like we were talking about earlier in the conversation, the once upons, that everything had to be just right, arranged, particularly the universe had to conspire, that Only destiny can do what she does, which makes it all the more beautiful. William says, 108 now. Wow. I know people love to say, but it's a dry heat. Doesn't matter. When it's 108, it's 108. I seem to recall when, as a kid, when we were in Connecticut, stayed with my aunt, it was in the summertime. It was the summer that Jaws came out. To what, 76, 75? So I was 10 years old. And it was extremely humid. And they did not have air conditioning at the time. Goldie says, I went next to it and filmed it. It's the red one. I'm going to be looking out for it. Bumblebee says, Gold Post Box is in a town called Uxbridge. It's in Greater London. Eric Point says, like I said before, my grandfather grew up with no running water or electricity. It's a small town forever. Yeah, the county where my father's from, and I actually lived when I was 15. Always visited as kids, but then I went up to live with a cousin when I was 15 to work on a veal farm, believe it or not, which is another thing that gave me the early urge to become a vegan. I wanted to go up there so that I could hunt and fish with all of my relatives, not knowing that hunting and fishing I loved being out in the woods. I even like shooting a gun. I don't like shooting it at anything, though. When he was growing up, of course, there was no stoplight in the county. When I lived there, and still to this day, there's only one stoplight in the entire county. Eric Point says, well, William, I would never make it there. Yeah, 108 is beyond hot. I had thought I would like to live in Flagstaff at one time. Milk and I, we actually honeymooned in Sedona, and then we went back the next year, and we spent quite a bit of time driving up into Flagstaff area. We went into the Painted Desert. I love that whole area. Goldie says, nice, Eric Lapointe. Bumblebee says, Eric Lapointe, great videos. Yeah, he does have great videos. Bumblebee says, just subbed. Cow Kisses, that's the one that gets me. Could be the greatest cow video on all of YouTube. All tongue. Eric Lapointe says, yes, Jaws. Yeah, and we were right there on the Long Island Sound, which my father made the mistake of taking all of us kids to see Jaws before we went up to hang out on the Long Island Sound. I don't know if that was planned or if it was just an unfortunate accident. So, I mentioned how close I am to the 4,000 mark, and I see that little gauge getting closer. And every time I check, I give thanks for each and every one of you that made it possible. Because without you guys, it wouldn't even be, it would be something that I would be thinking, I wonder if I could do this. But, we were talking about we had to be in the right place at the right time for something amazing to happen, which is always going on. Something amazing is always happening, if we can notice. I had to have the right people at the right time to bring me this close and getting ever closer. So, guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. Would not be here without you. Not only that, I wouldn't want to be doing this stuff without you. Thank you, Eric. Very much appreciated, my friend. That's a kind gesture. Destiny says, okay, beautiful souls, I'm so glad we had this time together just to laugh and sing a song. Seems like we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. Thanks, Eric. Thank you, Destiny. Thank you, Carol Burnett. Fond memories of that. Watching that with my parents back in the 70s. Bumblebee says, thank you, Yogi. Thank you, guys. It's actually probably a good time to say goodbye as well. Gives me a few minutes before go to bed where I can watch some more of Goldie's video and check around to see if there's anything new from any of our friends. So, thank you. Oh, hey, Bumblebee. I realized that I had my breathwork videos set on private, and I made it public. So a lot of the breath work that I described earlier today are now public, and it can guide you through some of the stuff that we were talking about. Goldie says, see you, lovely Destiny. Bumblebee says, thank you all. Our friend Amy is here. Amy, lurking for you tonight. Be blessed, everyone. You as well, Amy. Thank you. Eric White says, Virgo the ear. I remember, I'm trying to think how she did it. It was just a little tug, right? Letting her husband know that everything was okay. What a sweet gesture, by the way, that was. I'm so happy Carol Burnett is still with us. She just turned 93 not long ago. Maybe, it might have been earlier this week, I think. Destiny says, hashtag Carol Burnett is so right, Eric. Hashtag enjoy your weekend. Thank you, my friend. You as well. Bumblebee says, yes, Yogi. And Bumblebee, feel free to ask any questions. Goldie says, Medic is saying something about going live. I will check in on that before bed as well. I've had him up all through the day. Actually, on two things. I had going through a playlist and then watching last night's video as well. Bumblebee says, thank you, Yogi. I go look over the weekend if I have a chance and remember. And I'm always happy to demonstrate again here on a live session. So always feel free to ask any questions or ask me to demonstrate. Eric Point says yes. Her grandmother. And Bumblebee says, thanks, Yogi. You're welcome, my friend. Eric says, good night, everyone. Goldie says, nice. Thank you, guys. William, I think Night Watcher was in much earlier. Always a pleasure having each and every one of you here. It's nice getting to hang out with our friend Destiny as well. Goldie, Eric, our brand new friend, Bumblebee, Amy being here, William. Man, 108 degrees, William. And Barb. Barb is still here, just listening. Barb was in here earlier as well. Thank you again, Eric. You guys are definitely the best. Bumblebee says, Barb, I've just subbed. That's awesome. Bumblebee hanging out with Barb, as I mentioned before, is just hanging out with a really good friend, getting to do crafts together. Selina is here. Hey, Selina, I'm getting ready to sign off, but before I do, for whoever is here, guys, can you send out some prayers, some positive thoughts, energy, healing thoughts to Salina's sister, Dana, who, and as well as to Salina, who is being a wonderful caregiver for her. And our friend Barb is in pain as well, so we offer prayers to Barb. We send love to them all. Goldie says, how is your sister? Everyone's sending prayers. Thank you, guys. Salina says, I'm in ER with her now for observation. So, my friend, you definitely have prayers coming in your direction for your sister as well. Sending lots of love your way. Salina says, thank you so much. You're welcome, my friend. Bumblebee says, thoughts to all. So, with that, guys, Salina, I'm so glad that you popped in when you did, and that there was still people here, and that we could send out this thoughts and prayers to you. All of it from the heart. I will see everyone tomorrow. Thanks for coming in, guys, very much.